Welcome to Floristry at SWSi. This demonstration video will show how to do an open spray using a base medium. The first thing I'm going to do is secure the base medium by placing a parafilm 20 wire through the grid or cage that's above the funeral bat, then bringing it around and securing it by twisting the wire and making sure that the sharp ends of the wire face upwards into the oasis so there's no sharps present, and also that the parafilm wire won't scratch any surface, wooden surface that the open spray might be put on. Then what I'm going to do is start to create a kite shape. So I want my flowers to project out about 2/3 and then down about 1/3. This end handle is what we actually carry this funeral tribute with. What I'm going to do first is place some pieces of the viburnum greenery into the end of the funeral bat, and I'm going to ensure that I'm placing a tall vertical stem right in the center of the floral foam, and then 2 side placements to support this initial first placement that are slightly shorter in length to start to form a triangle. What I'm also concentrating on is to place the viburnum greenery at the base of the oasis, just above the edge of the funeral bat, so that I'm not projecting up too high into the oasis with these initial first placements. What I'm doing at the base of the funeral piece is putting the greenery approximately 1/3 out the base of the product. So we have 2/3 at the top end, and at what will be the bottom end of the design over the handle, we have approximately 1/3 in length. Then we're going to place a couple of pieces of greenery out to the sides of the funeral spray. So again, I'm being careful to insert these pieces of the viburnum down in the very lowest level of the oasis, so I've got plenty of room to place other materials as we start to build up the profile and size of this product. It's quite important when working with the base medium and the floral foam to consider the depth of the material and the height that you need to place in, and where you're going to place the initial placements of greens into the foam to give you the right proportions. What I'm then going to do is to come 2/3 along the entire length of the design and place a piece of the viburnum, which will then give me the grade that I'm going to work up to and then down to. This will be the highest center point of the design, but it is 2/3 along the design because we want to create a kite shape, so it's not placed in the middle of the design. A good rule of thumb with this when you're creating these designs is you'll find that your grid has 4 lines along it, so we're going to place this central piece of greenery in the 3rd grid along, which will approximately make it 2/3 of the length of the design. Then I'm filling in with a little bit more viburnum just to create a little bit of a skeleton shape that I want to come up to this point and then grade down beyond it. This is going to give the correct proportions and height to our arrangement. We don't want to completely cover the floral foam at this point. We just want to give an outline that we can start to follow. What I'm going to place into the design next are the gladioli. What I want to find is a nice strong straight stem of the gladioli that I can put as my first placement. This is going to extend out slightly beyond the initial placement of viburnum, and then I'm going to support that first placement with two side placements, the same as I did with the viburnum, that are slightly shorter than the first central placement. This is the easiest way to create a triangle or a pointed end to any arrangement. So we want symmetry within this arrangement. So when we place something one side of the central apex, which will run down the arrangement, we need to place something of equal distance out the other side. Then what I can start to do is move slightly up into the foam, into the midsection of the floral foam, and put a couple of placements each side of that central apex to also start to build up the line that we want to. We don't want this tribute piece to be too flat in appearance, because it's often placed on the ground where people will view it from above. Then coming down, I've now got the placement of the gladioli in the top of the spray. I also want to reverse some and put them down in the base to give that 2/3 and 1/3 balance. With your gladiolis, you just need to look for the most open blooms to place towards the centre of the design, and also so your florets that are opened are towards the centre of the design, and the florets that haven't opened yet are out towards the tips of the design. What I'm going to do is to support these first line placements with some of the leucadendron, which are another line flower. So I'm going to again look through my bunch of leucadendrons for a nice straight stem, and I want to put that in the top part of the floral foam to start supporting the gladioli florets. What I'm also going to do is cut some stems slightly shorter and place them in the sides of the foam, approximately halfway up the level of the foam, in the sides, to start to build a side profile as well. Remember, when we're making a symmetric shape like this and a kite shape, that the side placements can be quite narrow to keep within the perimeter of the line that we're creating. Any foliage or leaves on the leucadendrons or any material needs to be stripped when it goes into the floral foam to make sure that there's no small leaves trapped in the foam, and this will make sure that the floral material will last the longest possible time in the floral foam. I'm just working up into the top part of the design now, just supporting it with a few more placements of the leucadendrons, and you'll see that when I get to the middle of the spray, the placements are quite straight, but out towards the tips of the spray, they're at an angle to radiate out like the rays of the sun from the middle point that we've created. So they're coming up and out in the spray. So we have a line of the leucadendrons coming down and starting to form the sides of our tribute. I'm going to support with a little bit more greenery now. This is the leather fern, which is a very nice light greenery to use in these sorts of tributes. It covers the foam very well, but it has a very small stem, so it's very easy to insert into the foam and cover quite a lot of it very quickly. So I want to make sure that I use the tips of the fern up at the end of the spray, and then bring the smaller cut off pieces down towards the middle and base of the design. Any of these small side pieces can still be utilised and put into the floral foam to help cover and ensure that the flowers will last their longest possible cut life. What I'm going to add now are some pieces of the stock, and I'm going to again continue the same pattern that I have with all the placements of material by placing one of the stems in a central position, and then each side of this central position placing a slightly shorter stem. Again, I'm going to move down into the base part of the floral foam to place these placements, which will give some depth and bring the lighter white colour down into the base of the arrangement. So I've put the white into the design, bringing it out around the edges of the funeral tribute. I'm now going to put our focal flower into the design, which in this case is the spider chrysanthemum. I'm going to again follow the same pattern where I put one chrysanthemum at the tip or apex of the design, and then I'm going to place some each side of the central axis. So in this particular form, we're going to zigzag the focal flower down the centre of the design by making sure if we place something on the left hand side that we then place something on the right hand side to ensure that we have a balance of materials on each side of the centre line, and that's how we achieve the symmetry within our design. The chrysanthemums are quite a fragile flower, so that's why we also place these flowers in at this time, so we're not putting other flowers over the top of them, and this way we can avoid damage to the actual delicate nature of the flower. So there we have our centre with the chrysanthemum zigzagging along this central line. I'm now going to place some transitional material into the tribute just to bring all the different forms together. Transitional material is something that brings our primary and secondary flowers together to form a complete arrangement. The primary flowers, or the line flowers in this funeral spray, are the gladioli and the leucadendron, and the focal flowers are the chrysanthemums, and also the stock is both a line flower and, in this particular placement, a focal flower. The tea tree is acting as a transitional flower which brings all these elements together so that the whole arrangement appears as one flowing item. This also, the tea tree also acts as a very good line to bring the shape of the spray out, and also to make sure that we achieve that kite shape that we want, with the 2/3 at the top of the arrangement and 1/3 at the base of the arrangement. The tea tree has quite a wooden stem, so it's very easy to place into the floral foam at this last stage of the design. Different materials need to be placed in a different order to ensure that they can be used in the design, and particularly woody stems can go in quite late in the design to achieve the desired effect that you want. So I'm just finishing off with a couple of more pieces of the transitional material, placing them out so that they start to create a shape along the actual spray that we're doing. I'm going to complete the design by placing a tailored bow that has been constructed and put on a 22 wire, which has been parafilmed so it can go into the base of the spray. I'm going to complete this by going the other side of the zigzag that we've created. So we have a chrysanthemum on one side and then the bow on the other side to finish off our open spray arrangement. So this is our open spray funeral tribute.